Hey, what up, though, everybody? Hey, this video right here is how to take your Ancestry DNA results and take it to the next level and really find out who you are and understand some things and really kind of put it all together. There's a lot of things that us as African Americans is leaving out of the equation, really understanding our matches. You know, we might have a whole bunch of people that match us, right? And they got different surnames we never even heard of before. See, now, if you was like kind of the old school researcher, you know, look through census records and had to find your ancestors on census records. So when you was reading these census records, some of these other neighboring surnames should have stuck out in your head. This is where you're supposed to go first. Like with me, I kind of remember some surnames that is attached to my family, because my family now, we kind of know our past from, like, we know we come from 12 sisters and brothers that were right at the eve of the emancipation. I know that my great-great-grandfather, he was born in 1843 in a place called Coosa, Alabama. And he lived in a place called, I think it's called Autauga, Autauga, Alabama. And I know that my people was there like in the 1820s, 1830s. Now, my great-great-grandfather, his name was Ned, or Ned is short for Edward Edison. And he married a young lady that was born in 1844, and her name was Frances Marbury. Now, Frances Marbury, that last name Marbury is real synonymous with that place called Coosa, Alabama, with this one main man named Leonard Marbury. Now, this guy, Leonard Marbury, now, his father is a prominent figure, and he himself is a prominent figure in American history. I found a letter written to George Washington from this guy, from his father, you know what I'm saying? And he explains that he sent Hamilton to the Indians in the place where my people come from. And he talks about the Creek Indian chief McGilvery coming to his land with his horses and stuff. And this is in Coosa County. And this land that Leonard Marbury had, my people inherited this land. But anyway, I talk about this Leonard Marbury because his father was named Colonel Leonard Marbury, and this guy was like one of the King's Rangers. That's what they called him, King George of England. And this guy, he named Augusta, Georgia. His father or his grandfather had to be a guy named Francis Marbury. And this guy, Francis Marbury, was in Virginia, and it's some court records where they say that he put a dock on the Indians' land, and the Indians, and they had him in court about this. And the Indians that he had in court about it was called the Tutelo Indians. When I first found it, it said Tugaloo, Tugaloo. So that's Tugaloo. But come later, I come to find out what they actually, the Tutelo Indians, or the Tutelo Saponi Indians. You know, I learned this from my Ancestry DNA results. I got contacted from a member of the Occaneechi band of Saponi Indians in North Carolina, in which he said that I match his father more than I match him. And it makes a lot of sense because I come from an older generation. You know, the people in my generation, like the older bunches, they in like their 60s, man, in the 70s, dude, and I'm 44. So they like 28 to 25 to 30 years older than what we are. The youngest person in our generation, between the oldest and the youngest person, had to be like 45, almost 50 years in our generations, you know what I'm saying? That's another story, but this guy, Leonard Marbury, like in 1840, he had a couple slaves. He wasn't that much, he didn't have too much different than his neighbors. But between the 1840 and 1850s, he inherited over 80-some slaves. And these slaves were, a lot of them were all related, dude, for real. Because I match a whole bunch of them. And they, you know, seem like everybody that's in the county is related to this group of people, dude. On one census, they looked on, I think it was the 1860 census, where they valued the property value. And people around them was like, $800, $1,000, $3,000. And they get to Leonard Marbury property value, $144,000. This is in 1860. What's the value of that money today, dude? Seriously. What's the value of $144,000 back in 1860? But if you read about them, man, you read about them, dude. You read about people, you know what I'm saying? Like on my father's mother's side, she's a Gibson. Her father was Homer Gibson, but her mother was Vera Heard, Heard. That's a hell of a name down in the South, in Virginia, in Georgia, even up in Saskatchewan, Canada, Heard. But anyway, the ones down in Georgia, this is the ones I'm talking about. At one time, one of the governors of Georgia was a guy named Stephen Heard. And it's some I think some folklore. I take it as folklore. And he talking about his slaves, Mammy Kate and her husband. I can't recall. But I'm thinking this mug is talking about my people subliminally, dude, because I come from a people named Heard. My great-grandmother was Vera Heard. And her father's name was Edgar Heard. And the real true stuff, you can go out here and find a slave narrative written by my great-great-grandfather's brother. His name is Clark Heard. And he talks about their experience in Troup County as slaves. He talks about them wearing white clothes and red leather shoes. I said, well, red leather shoes. Then he goes on to talk about say it was a problem at the dye place where they dyed the shoes. So all the kids, black and white, they all had red leather shoes. But he said it was a reverend that was the slave owner of them. His name was Reverend Jesse Palmer. And this guy, he built a school for them all in Troup County, Georgia. He talks about his father, Amos Heard, which Amos Heard would be my third great-grandfather. And Amos Heard was born in 1810. And he talks about Amos Heard, he talks about his grandfather, Henry Heard. And this is what really kind of inspired me to say, whoa, this is why I do a lot of the things, or this is why I can understand a lot of things I do understand now. He talks about his grandfather, Henry Heard, which is my fourth great-grandfather. And he said that Henry Heard dug the iron out the mountain and melted it and formed it to build the first bridge in LaGrange County, in Troup County, Georgia. Now, years prior to this, I ran across this video called Horace King, the Bridge Builder. And he built the bridge in LaGrange County. Now I really realized that my fourth great-grandfather was the one who made the iron for Horace King to make his design. Whoa, that's deep. Horace King, he was what we would call a black man, but he was actually a triracial man, just like a lot of us are. You know what I'm saying? He talks about how much money that Horace King had. He said at the end of the Civil War, they had bushels of coins, bushels of pennies. That was worthless. Confederate money, that was worthless. He talks about how they ain't had to worry about nothing to eat, but he said that wasn't a true case for everybody that was around him. He talks about the other plantation on the next door to him named a hog god, H-O-G-G. And he talks about how he'll work his slaves from dusk to dawn and don't feed them nothing, don't dress them, don't do nothing for them. And then that's ironic, like on the later censuses, at the slavery end, when they left from Troup County, Georgia, and winds up in Tallapoosa, Alabama, they next door to the same people, the Palmers, the Hogs, all the same people. And he'll be my second great uncle. Yeah, he talks to me. He said he names them all. He names all of them. He names his mother, father. I got them all on census records. I can back up his slave narrative.